Coming up on Two Bids SoCon, we are covering all the action from the first week of conference play here in the new year, including UNCG's impressive 2-0 start, Wofford and ETSU's Saturday afternoon thriller, and Chattanooga's potential. All that and more after a word from our sponsor. Two Bids SoCon is brought to you by The Ben Burnett Show. Sports, politics, anything else you're looking for. Weekends on Extra 106.3 in Atlanta or wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Two Bids SoCon. We finally made it. We made it through the non-conference schedule. We took a little break there at Christmas and New Year's, but we are back 2 game days through the conference schedule now. Starting to figure out who some of these teams are, but Jack, Taylor, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. I had a good New Year. Excited to say it was a great day of conference play.
Jack?
Good. Fun day. Shout out,
hmm
I will say, like, not necessarily SoCon related, but college basketball related. Shout out
Oh, it's been great.
doing a 10 a.m. tip for like Kentucky and Florida at 10 a.m. That's
Dude,
kind of nice. Like I wake up and there's basketball on. I don't know. People might
Yeah.
disagree. I kind of like
that was
that.
weird. I don't recall ever seeing like a tip-off that early,
Yeah, I kind of
especially for a
like that.
top 10 matchup game.
Don't have to wait around. Like I've always said, if I lived, I kind of think I might like living on the West Coast, like on Sundays, because like NFL
Yeah.
games are on at 9. Like just not
Yeah.
have to wait around. Like I don't
That
know.
game today would have been at what, 8 a.m.?
7.
Yeah,
Or
really
7 for them?
early,
Or yeah.
really early. But
Jeez.
Eggs and pancakes at the tailgate. Good time. Yeah. Fun day. Fun week as we get started in conference play here. Um, Taylor unfortunately sucks at game picks.
We're still
Went
at 500. It's still early.
2 and 3
Overall
today.
500.
Jack and I both at 4 and 1. Um, and I was a layup away from being 5-0, but missed that one. Um, we're gonna start with probably what's been the most surprising team, I would say, in the conference so far, which is UNC Greensboro, who is now 2-0 in conference play. Got a big win at home against Furman today and eked one out on Wednesday night at Wofford. Um, and I gotta say, I feel I did pick them today, but I was not high on them at all in the preseason. Um, and I do have to say I was wrong, but it's for different reasons. I was concerned with, using Atwell more and how he hasn't really expanded his game and using Jalen Breath more, kind of the same story. But it's really been the guard play for them that has just been phenomenal with Kenyon Giles and Ronald Polite. They have just been awesome for UNC Greensboro so far. Um, it just feels like Giles is their go-to guy offensively on basically every possession. He's so good at navigating any kind of ball screen. And then, PJ Smith, I think, had 20 plus today or something like that, but Ronald Polite was so solid on him defensively, just making things tough. And then Saizonu coming off the bench or Atwell, whoever else was guarding him, did really good stuff today to, just make things not easy for him. Do you guys have any thoughts on that game
Yeah.
today?
Today, like, I picked against it both times, and that's obviously been a mistake. But today I almost picked them to win, but I was surprised they controlled it from like start to finish, basically, from what I saw. I started watching, I think, midway through the first half, and every time Furman had momentum, it just seemed like they hit a step back three or something to just be like, "No, we still got this." And Giles looks like a first team guy so far, and even Demetrius Davis, 16 the other night, 9 today. He's started and stepped up so far, and they just They just look like a good team. They look solid so far. And was it Polite who hit the game winner the other night? And then Corey Tripp missed that game tying layup. But yeah, they've been shocking so far. I was not high in the meter. I think picked them seventh, and
Yeah,
I
we
guess
both
they're
did.
yeah. So yeah, it's
So
been very surprising, especially today to beat 13 or Furman, who had only lost to Kansas so far by 17, rode the whole way. Very surprising. And I think they're undefeated at home, right? So their home court advantage has been something to look out for so far. I think 6-0.
both both home courts, yeah.
Yeah.
J Jack, any thoughts?
Yeah, they're gonna just be consistent. They're kind of a defensive team. I'm not always the most fun to watch. Not always the most exciting to watch. But I will say Kenyon Giles is awesome. Like he's very fun to watch. Polite's
Yeah.
a good player too. Like I would put them. They're up. I don't know if I yet want to say like they're a title contender. We probably need to see it a little longer. But with Giles, like with a 1A guy like that you feel like is could take over your game at any time. Like that is like the SoCon guard right there, like the small
Hmm.
guy that just gets buckets. So I'm a fan of him, and I think he elevates them big time. Just having a guy like that can really score it, and then the rest of their team just being able to defend like they have. I've been pretty impressed by them.
Yeah. And Taylor, you brought up Demetrius Davis. I really feel like he's emerged as that four guy for them.
Hmm.
Um, I don't remember if he started today or not, but it really looks like he's going to end up being the solution at that spot for them. Um, but yeah, they've just like Jack had them sixth and we both had them seventh. And I mean, I'm still kind of like Jack was higher on them than us, but he still wasn't calling them
Yeah, you're
champs or
still sick.
anything.
Nah,
Yeah.
y'all were too low. Y'all were too low.
I'm kind of I'm kind of trust but verify for them. I'm cautiously optimistic. But I think their ability to defend the three, um, and just play good defense overall is going to keep them in a lot of games. And like Jack said, it might not always be fun to watch, but um, you know, give credit to Mike Jones. All those guys know their roles, and they're playing them all very
Yeah,
well right now.
Hmm.
I'll also say like, can you talk about how much you trust him? I trust him more than I do Wofford right now. I think
I would agree.
Wofford, and maybe that's shifting the topic there a little bit, but Wofford just they hurt me.
So up
They
and down.
they,
I'm
they really hurt me.
I'm
They're going
I'm
to be impossible to
glad
predict this year.
I'm glad you brought Wofford up because it was UNC Greensboro Wednesday at Wofford sealing the victory with a Corey Tripp missed bunny down the stretch, and it was Wofford today benefiting from that
Hmm.
at ETSU after giving away the lead a little bit there in Johnson City. Um, Jaden Seymour, who was on the bench for a good chunk. Brooks Savage went small to run the press a little bit more and get some more threes up. They were down double digits, kind of 4 minutes ish left in the game. So Seymour sat a big chunk of that, and when he came back in, he got a look. He got a really good look to take the lead with a few seconds left, and he missed. And then Filowich came back in for the free throws on the other end. And there was no big in for ETSU, so he was able to tip the rebound. And Wofford got possession back and just kind of sealed it away. But what a change of fate for Wofford, honestly.
This game
Wofford,
made me so mad. They
yeah,
both were trying to
Wofford
give it
tried
away
to
with
lose that.
yeah. Wofford 14 to 29 from the free throw line. Man, if I were ETSU, I would have just fouled Filowich every time. 2 of 9 from the free throw line is crazy.
We've been
Is
saying that.
insane. The two he made, he
This
banked in.
is yeah,
And
this is
even
not breaking news.
I know, but even like ETSU, Peterson missed 5 free throws. They had so many chances that Wofford was gifting them, and they didn't. Uh, Free throws down the stretch. They had a chance to tie it, missed it. Before that, they had a chance to cut it to one, missed one. So it was a great game. Don't get me wrong to watch, but it was frustrating for both ends. But Wofford's so confusing to lose at home to Greensboro, then come in and beat ETSU on the road in a good environment. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
it's uh it's hard to tell.
I'll say man, we said this like about Filowich. I'm surprised we still haven't seen it. Like, why are teams
Well,
not
yeah,
just
where
hacking him?
is the
Yeah,
Philip?
I
Yeah.
feel
I
like
was thinking, I was like, just foul him.
today he was a big game changer. Like he was a
Hmm.
great had a great game today. But every time I see it, I'm
He's
like, why would you not just foul him and not let him
Yeah,
score ever? Because it's that level of bad from the line. Like
yeah.
because yeah,
mm-hmm.
in saying that, I'll still give him credit because until a team does it, like Filowich has impressed me. He's looked like
Hmm.
he's really played well offensively. Obviously, he's last year he was good defensively and rebounding, and he's continued that. But this year, I've really liked him just kind of expanding his kind of offensive role, I guess, which I felt like
Mm-hmm.
he's had the skill to do for a few years now. He just hasn't. But yeah, I'm still surprised about that, and that's just hypothetical until somebody does it, and maybe it doesn't work. But it's a tough thing. I mean, and Wofford knows it too. Wofford, I mean, Filowich was probably their best player
He
today,
Yeah.
and
mm-hmm.
they're not playing him for large
he
parts of the end of the game
Yeah.
because you can't risk him getting a board and getting fouled.
mm-hmm. Um, it's big for them to be able to play Lorenz in that Filowich role at the end of games.
Yep.
Lorenz did miss a couple free throws there down the stretch. Um, even handed the ball to the official because he said there was something on it.
I saw that.
I think there's
I
blood on
don't
it.
It was
know.
like, yeah,
It had to be blood. They wouldn't stop it for sweat. But
because I put like spray on it or something, right? Like to wipe it up.
yeah, that ETSU press was giving Wofford issues for
Hmm.
the last 6, 7 minutes of that game. That's how they kind of got back into it. But Lorenz, when he came in that role, like just working the entire middle of the floor, I think he had like 3 assists today, which is like not Jeremy Lorenz stats, but he was so effective in breaking that press, and that's what, kind of helped Wofford seal that. Um, but if they're able to play him at that 5 spot where Filowich should be at the end of games, I think that's going to be big for them. Um, on the flip side, just a heartbreaking loss for ETSU, to be honest. You got
And
to think you.
let me say one more thing about Wofford,
Yeah, go ahead.
because today I today kind of confirmed it like to me, but it was the other day it was clear like you've got to have Dylan Bailey or Corey Tripp on the court at all times,
Oh
one of the
yeah.
two. I was shocked. The other day against UNCG, I was watching, and we're like 15 and a half minutes left in the first half, and they're playing Filowich, Civils, and three freshmen.
Luke Flynn, yeah.
Luke Flynn,
And
like,
Kamari Holmes.
yeah, Flynn and Holmes, both probably going to be good players.
I think they maybe did
Can
that at one point
contribute
today too for a second.
minutes, yeah.
Flynn was in a lot to close
Okay.
today. Yeah.
And I like Dwight Perry, so I'm not gonna act like he's an idiot or anything. But I'm like, they played 9 players in the first 5 minutes, and in the first 5 minutes, they've already got a lineup with like no real like initiator in offense. It so confuses me. And on top of that, like I also say, like I think I tweeted this out. Like, does Corey Tripp or the like Wofford staff do they realize like he's the best player most of the time when
Yeah.
he's out there? Like it's almost it's almost like the team he takes over randomly, and he can hit shots and really create offensively like few guys can do. But it's like he just we're gonna let you know Jackson Civil shoot 3 threes in a row here instead of letting Tripp initiate the offense. I mean, it just really confuses me how they run their offense sometimes. It's like you've got to get your best player the ball more often. And
I
today, like
yeah.
Tripp didn't
I've
have the
noticed that
best game,
too.
but yeah, it's so confusing. Like I don't think Tripp lacks confidence, but it's so confusing that it's almost like the whole team doesn't realize like, hey, this is our best player. Let's get him the ball more often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I've
It's
noticed
kind of
that
an overarching thing.
the couple times like against the Lipscomb game too. That was something I pointed out. He didn't seem to shoot the ball till it was almost too late, and he started making some shots, but they were down 12 with 2 minutes left. And I've seen that a couple times this year. He doesn't start throwing it up until they're already down, and he's making them most of the time. So it's like he's got. I think he's got to get his shots earlier. I don't know if that's him thing or like the way they're to your point, the way they're setting up their offense,
There's a
but
lot of long stretches where he doesn't play or doesn't do
yeah.
anything, but
Mm-hmm.
there's long stretches, just like I'm saying, where they just play confusing lineups. I'm
Mhm.
like, why as a team that you're not like, granted, you always are trying to figure things out, but this is the same team as last year. You
Right.
Yeah.
have what you have. You kind of know what you've got figured out. and you know that Dylan Bailey and Corey Tripp are probably your two guys that can really create their own shots.
Hmm.
Some of the lineups just really hurt me, and then I don't know. I'm not gonna question it too hard, but it does
Yeah.
bother me watching it sometimes.
I mean, especially down the stretch in tight games, like I can't think of a time that, well, except for Wednesday night, but that was just a bunny that he happened to miss. But when he takes over down the stretch, I can't think of a time that it works out poorly for them. Like he's never like just turning the ball over. He did take a bad three today,
Yeah,
on the offensive
No,
rebound. That was
I
that
disagree.
was.
I disagree. I think we're listening too much to that announcer. That announcer was very opinionated
I
about
don't know.
that.
You could have
I
burned
don't think it
30
was a
seconds
great
though.
shot. That wasn't a great shot, but I'm like,
you got
the
20 more
announcer's like,
seconds on the shot
that
Yeah,
clock.
was a terrible shot.
Oh yeah, no, he
he
Wide
was
was
open.
freaking out a little too much.
He
Yeah,
was
he
wide open.
was
It's
he
like,
was
what is he
animated, yeah.
doing? That is an
yeah.
awful shot. I'm like, it's
Oh my
not. Now,
goodness! Oh my goodness,
yeah,
Valentine.
like this is the
It's not
best
a
player taking a wide open three. Yeah,
That is not
that's
the shot
literally
at
what he
that
was acting
moment.
like.
it's not a great shot.
Yeah, he did
Yeah, I
overreact, but
agree.
I didn't think it was. Yeah,
But I
wasn't
don't have
worth
Yeah,
that
him
he
much of a
losing his
was.
problem
damn mind.
with that shot. I don't have like other people may feel differently, but that's just me. Like you're up six, yeah, you want to run clock, but I'm like that's a wide open three from your best player. Yeah,
I
I didn't.
guess it's a
I
different
don't know.
conversation if he makes it, but he
Mm.
didn't.
I was
Yeah,
just
since he
more.
missed.
I was more mad at the announcer was acting like it was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
No,
worst
he
thing
was
in the world.
freaking out.
He did
Yeah,
that a bunch of times where he I don't know, he just acted like some things were I can tell if he coached, he's the most old school coach ever. I remember he said one time, I don't remember what big put the ball. He's like, normally you don't want your bigs to put the ball on the ground. I was like, all right, like,
I think I heard that or something like
he's
that. He was
yeah,
talking about.
he's definitely old school, but
Well,
yeah, I
he
digress.
took it a step further because Tripp turned it over on the next possession, and he was like, "So that's actually two turnovers for Corey Tripp in the last two possessions." I'm like, "No, it's not."
Yeah,
Uh,
it was just killing me sometimes how I don't know how he was saying things.
Yeah,
some of these announcers crack me up for sure. They I can't think of it, but yeah, they say some things sometimes where I'm like, oh, interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, speaking
Um,
of announcers, shout out SoCon Game of the Week at Mercer at VMI.
yeah, they did good stuff.
Yeah, I love that that's what they chose for the first weekend. Yeah, we're going to VMI
Furman
Mercer.
Hey.
UNCG, nah.
Yeah,
And what a game it turned out to be, though.
well, it was a good game. Yeah,
Hmm.
I
you gotta go.
wonder.
You gotta go to a Mercer or VMI game at some point. Why not the
Yeah,
first weekend?
yeah, there you go.
I wonder if they want to get their trip to Lexington, Virginia out of the way early in the season, and then they're like,
They
let's
could.
go to Furman.
Or maybe they were just eager to go. You never know.
Maybe. One last thing on Wofford. Since Jackson Civils hurt his ankle in Milwaukee, he did not look like the same player. He's starting to find it again. He hit three or four straight threes there midway through the second half, and I was like, yeah, he's back. Like just playing his role perfectly. So that's good to see for them. But on the flip side for ETSU, this one hurt. It had to because you had a lot of chances to win that game. And yeah, it was impressive to scrap and claw your way back into it, but man, they had chances and they did not take advantage of them. So unfortunate for them. I love doing the small ball as you're pressing, and Struthers was awesome in the front of that press.
Mm.
He had two huge steals there down the stretch, and then just like chucking the ball back in bounds and finding Gabe Sisk. It was awesome to see, but when it came down to it, they had a chance to win that game on a bunny, and didn't get it done. So that one might haunt them
Yeah.
for a little
On a
bit.
positive
But
note, John Buggs 10 threes the other night. Holy crap.
he's
When was
feeling it too.
yeah, when was the last time, like, correct me if that, or sorry if that happened recently, when was the last time someone hit 10 threes in the SoCon? I know Honor Huff had 9 one time last year, but I
Not
can't
sure.
think of any off the top of my head of someone hitting 10.
SoCon John, let us know.
Let us know,
I'm sure.
please. I'm curious.
I bet you Jordan King probably had 10 in a game a couple years back with
Oh,
ETSU.
yeah.
He was a big time shot chucker. He was going for 40 or 0.
Or Fletcher McGee.
He
Yeah, I bet
he-
Fletcher McGee definitely did.
Yeah, McGee probably did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but speaking of John Bucks, like I had that written down. John Bucks would be one of my favorite players to watch. Like
Oh,
He's
he's so
just
fun to
awesome,
watch.
he
dude.
just
He's
chucks,
awesome.
dude. Like if he catches the ball, he's probably going up. He's fun,
Yeah.
and he's
And yeah,
efficient.
3 of 6 today, still efficient. Like
You
he's
gotta have guys.
he's
Honestly,
64 and 4.
I think in today's day and age of basketball, you need a couple guys
You
like
have to
that.
have a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I think having shooters that are like there's not a bad shot to them in their head is a good thing, and coaches empowering that's a good thing in my opinion.
Hmm.
Now the whole team can't do that. Like you can't have the
Right.
whole team chucking. I think that's a problem with some teams, like not having role definition. Sometimes you talk
Hmm.
honestly, you talk about Jackson Sibbles, who I think I've always been high on Jackson Sibbles. Like I think he's a great role player. I think at times when he wasn't playing well, he was probably shooting a little too quick. Like he's a pretty average shooter. I feel like he's probably shot above average over his career, but you know, I feel. But in saying that, all I think you've got to have to win. Like it's to have guys that are no shot in their brain is a bad shot, and you kind of validify that as a coach.
I mean, that was probably the biggest hole in that ETSU team last year is they just didn't have a guy that could shoot like that, and Bugs
Asamoah,
wasn't. Yeah, but he did. He didn't. He didn't find it until March.
yeah,
And then when he found
most
it, it
Bugs.
was scary.
That's
But
honestly exactly what Bugs is, kind of, except
hmm
Yeah.
probably even more of a green light and so far more
yeah,
consistent.
and Bugs wasn't incredible to start the year considering he was a 50% 3-point shooter in his last 3 or 4 years in college. But I kind of mentioned that the law of averages might balance that out a little bit, and he has started to find it. And I don't want to sound like we're dogging on the announcers too much, but it was like every time Bugs had an open three, it was like you could feel it in the gym too. It was like everyone was like, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
got one."
I thought the play-by-play guy was great for
He's great.
ETSU.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a good, yeah.
well, I just like I don't know, like this just the nerd basketball in me. Like I like hearing the I don't know. I
Yeah, good
appreciate good
play-by-play guy.
commentary. But I thought the play-by-play guy was great. The other guy was fine. Like you're always gonna have kind of the homer guy as the color guy. But I also, while we're on the topic, I thought it was fun. I just thought about this when we were talking. Um, he was like, yeah, because he loves Corey Tripp. He made that clear throughout the day, even though he hated that decision. He was like, yeah, I love Corey Tripp. He's the quarterback of the offense, and defensively, he's guarding the best player every possession as he's guarding Karan Boyd. I was like, he's guarding like the least offensive like player. Like he's guarding the most role player in all of the SoCon. I was just cracking up at that. Not a shot at
Yeah.
Karan Boyd, by the way, who's a great player. He's just not like an
He just
offensive
knows his
Yeah.
role.
thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did
but
think
it
that
was
hilarious
like-
when he was saying
That is
That's
funny.
who he's matched up with.
But it was just every time they ran a play that got Bugs an open three, he was like, "Bugs has got one," and it's like, it's because everyone knows it's like a coin flip if he's
He
gonna
was
make
calling
it.
it like it was Game 7 NBA Finals.
And respect, we need more of that,
No.
honestly. We'll go now to the Ingles SoCon game of the week. Mercer at VMI. VMI down as much as 17 points in the second half. And an impressive comeback considering they only had one offensive player in Ricky Bradley, who scored 30 tonight, I believe.
Yep.
But man, they put that press on, kind of similar to ETSU, and got back into this one. I will say, I wasn't as tuned into this because Wofford ETSU was going on at the same time, but maybe a questionable call at the end. I don't know what you guys thought.
That's one of those where it's so tough because there was contact. The announcer kind of talked about this too, but like at the end of the game, like you hate for games to end like with a little like bump. Like technically that is a foul, and like I understand Yildizoglu, I would have been pissed too, but I was just like if that was called on the floor, I probably wouldn't have been mad, but like I'm not mad it wasn't called, just because it was the end of the game. But
Yeah,
I was actually more tuned into that one when they made that comeback because Ricky Bradley caught fire. And then
'Cause you were-
AJ Clark. Yeah, I know, because I picked VMI, so I was like,
You
I'm
were
going to go
praying
crazy
for
if they
a
win.
win,
Yeah, I know. And AJ Clark hit some big shots. That was like pretty much the exact same ending as ETSU Wofford. Got a steal off the press and then had a look at the end and didn't get it. But
By the way,
VMI,
great
although they're
save.
0-2, I've shown life so far.
Right there.
Yeah.
What, Jack?
The Robinson turnover right before
Yeah,
the
he
game.
would.
I was like,
He
what's
threw
he
a.
doing? He
That
did
was
the
like
He
Keenan
pulled the
Kenny
Allen
Virginia.
Clark.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like,
As soon as he
who's
threw it,
going
that's
to
exactly what
chuck
I
it?
thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh, he threw it
that
away.
was, and I don't know why we keep talking about the announcers. I guess it's me, but they literally, not that they were doing a bad job, but they said something about him having the ball and like getting to play freely. And I was like, yeah, he's gonna play freely, and then he just chucked that up, and I was like, that if that's playing freely, I don't want that at all.
A little too free
Uh,
there.
yeah, that was not
I heard
great.
Kevin Harlan's voice in my head when he threw it. Ping,
Yeah.
piggies, good.
Yeah, so definitely a scary one for Mercer, but
Or
things
2-0 though.
things happen in Lexington, Virginia. It's a it's a weird hollow ground.
VMI's going to win some
Um
games.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
Take away
They
their
are.
They just got to get over the hump. Once they get that one, I feel like they'll pick up a couple.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out the
That's the kind of team
C.
they seem like.
They've
Yeah.
done a great job.
Yes.
'Cause they matched up well against ETSU until the last few minutes, and then today they were right there with Mercer. So they'll definitely pick up some.
Um Mercer now 2-0 in SoCon play. How about it? Um an impressive win over Chattanooga on Wednesday. Despite giving up another comeback that sent the game to overtime, mostly due to Frank Champion taking over that one. But they got guys, man. I really think they can at least put it together offensively. I mean, it looks difficult for them sometimes on the other end of the floor, but I mean, offensively they can go. Chip Johnson and Ahmad Robinson. Chip Johnson on Wednesday was 8 for 12 for 26 points and 4 for 7 from three. I mean, they can be effective. I don't know how long the undefeated in conference play will go, but they're definitely not down there at the bottom like some people may think they are.
Yeah, Johnson and Robinson, and that when they played Chat, just felt like every time Chat. I mean, until they forced overtime, when they get some momentum cut into two, Johnson or Robinson would just hit a big shot. Even Bryant came in, hit 5 threes, 17 points, and I must confess, this has now happened to me twice this year. I was watching the game on my phone at the factory. They went down 10. I turned it off, walked home. Like 20 minutes later, not 20 minutes, like probably 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot the game wasn't technically over yet. Let's just see what the final score was. I see it's 87-87 in overtime. I was like, oh, shoot, it's still going on. So I tuned in. So I completely missed Chattanooga's comeback. I had to go back and watch that. But yeah, that's twice. I did that Sanford game, so I need to quit stopping watching while it's early. Keep getting burned.
My problem is I watch games at work and then I have to pause to like help a customer and then I get behind and then I see somebody tweet and it just
Oh,
spoils everything for me. I was
that's
I
even
was
worse.
watching that game and I ended up getting like 20 minutes behind and then I see Jack tweet insane comeback and I'm like I wonder what's gonna happen
Yeah.
here.
I on that game, um, not to take away from what Mercer's doing,
Mhm.
I kind of think that might be the best game they play offensively. Like, I don't think that's a replicatable thing. I don't know. I just like Ted was saying, Robinson and Johnson hit a shot every single
Mhm.
time they needed to, and along with that, like I was like disgusted is way too strong of a word, but like Chattanooga, good lord, they were hard to watch. Like their defense was awful, and they just turned it over every other play. Like, man, it was brutal watching it because like there's no world that Mercer is like even in the same stratosphere of talent that
Oh yeah.
Chattanooga is.
Oh,
Not to again try not to take away from him, but that was just a hard game to watch. Just like watching Chattanooga just shoot themselves in the foot the whole time, and just as a whole, I'm very unimpressed by their defense, and it's not just Huff and Bonham getting taking advantage of it with their size. Like I feel like it's kind of all around guys getting beat, and especially in that game, it was that paired with too much
Turning the ball
guys
over.
trying to
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
create when there was no room to create. It was a tough
Mm-hmm.
watch. So yes, I do think Mercer is better than a lot of people thought they were going to be, myself included. And I've been impressed with Johnson, um, and Robinson, especially in that game. But man, yeah, I think from that game, what I took away from was a lot more of just how frustrating it can be to watch that UTC team. Because I mean, if you line them up on paper, like
Yeah.
they go
Yeah,
talent for
for sure.
talent with every team. I don't think anybody, them and Sanford, there's nobody else in the league that's got as much pure talent as they do. And I compared their roster to Sanford of recent years where they just have so many guys. And today they helped their case a little bit, but they got to figure it out. They got to play together longer. And I'm not going to count them out because, like we're saying here, they have so many options. But especially with that game, man, like it was like, are they ever gonna be able to be a
Yeah.
defensive team,
Yeah.
like a team that can just be, you know, slightly above average defensively? So
Yeah, something that's concerned me about them is I said it before the show, but it seems like they have like someone has a good game every game, but when they do like someone has an off game, like Champion had 24 points, but Honor only had 6 and Bonham had 11. And today they kind of did work it out, and everybody, I guess Honor only had 6, but yeah, that's something I've noticed. Like when they have a good game, like Champion had that great game, but then like when Bonham had 28, I think Huff only had like 6 also, and then like when Huff had 6 threes, like the first time I think Bonham only had 12. So they just got to figure out, like you said it too, like they got so many mouths to feed, they got to figure that out. And even, yeah, to your point, the turnover problem, Champion, as great as game as he had, 27 or 24, 7 and 6, he also had 6 turnovers alone, 17 as a team. So that was pretty hard to watch to your point, and defensively they did not look good. But I think they'll improve. And Mercer, I still think they'll end up around the 6th spot. That's when I had them picked. So I think they'll get some wins, but I agree that I don't think it's sustainable throughout the whole year for them to score 99 points.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, my thing with Chattanooga is that was today was Frank Champion's what, third or fourth game?
yeah,
Yeah, he's still,
So I
yeah.
mean, like they do have so much talent, but they haven't played together is the thing. Like
exactly.
I do think their starting lineup now is their best five on the floor that can start and close games together, with Huff, Bonham, Kiesler, Wieland, and Champion as the big. Um, and Champion's interesting because like I was gonna come on here and say that I see like he's got great vision as a passer, but sometimes he's passing too much. Like the reason they got back in that Mercer game is because they just started throwing the ball down to him, and he was just getting whatever he wanted. But for a lot of that game, it was kind of feast or famine with him passing the ball. It was either a beautiful bounce pass to like a backdoor cut, or it was just something that wasn't there at all. That he wasn't trying to force it necessarily, but like you can get a better look somewhere else. Um, and I do want to bring back actually. I'm gonna give Jack credit here on a take he had on our overreaction episode that Trey Bonham or Honor Huff wouldn't be their best player through conference play.
Feel stronger.
And that is starting to look like a real thing, to be honest. In the Mercer game, Frank Champion goes for 24, Whelan goes for 19, Huff goes for 12, and Bonham 2 for 9 from the floor for 5 points. And then, oh, excuse me. Yeah, in the Mercer game. And then today it was all Bash Wheeland. Um, and Champion came back with like 8 points. And I want to say Huff had 12 again or something like that. But Huff and Bonham have not been the guys that, like Huff or Bonham was preseason player of the year. And Jack picked Huff to be the preseason player of the year. I mean, they have not been those guys so far. And, it's not like they're not shooting the ball. Like, they're playing no differently than we thought they would. They just haven't been, what they were last year. And I think Wheeland and Champion and some of those other guys have really picked up the slack for them. But I think the more they actually get to play together, they'll start to find their groove as a unit, which will pick them up off the deck a little bit.
I think it's interesting. I think because part of me thinks, dang, if Huff and Bonham get going, like that team is gonna be awesome. But I also kind of think it's just Huff and Bonham are at the top of every scouting report, and they've got like
Tyler Keith.
Whelan Champion, Kiesler, whoever. Like they've just got so many options. They could like they're getting overwhelmed with length a lot of times, and I think like Huff one time had a wide open layup. Basically, like it would have been semi-contested. He just dropped it off the Champion, and it wasn't a great decision. But I feel like they so much trust how good the other guys are. Like I kind of think that maybe teams are going to adjust to how good the other guys are playing, and then Huff and Bonham are going to get going more. Maybe that's just kind of a rough draft thought that I've kind of been thinking about recently. But in saying that, I've got another take on UTC. Fun take. Garrison Kiesler, if he had if he had a fast jump shot, he would be like a player of the year level player. He is so good. He is
He's so solid.
I don't know how to explain it. Like he doesn't have a jumper that's any fast, so like offensively, like he's not hitting threes and all these shots, whatever. But like he just makes every play. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it because it also bothers me with how slow-mo and hitchy his shot is at times. Like though I feel like if he's wide open, I feel like there's a good chance he's gonna make it. But yeah, I was thinking that today watching him and just over the course of watching UTC all year, he's just a solid basketball player. Like just always like has great touch around the rim, makes good drives, makes big plays. He's a great passer. He's just I don't know. He's a great role player for him.
He's one of those old reliable guys you can always count on to make a big play. Like
Yeah, and
might
I
not
think
lead the team, but he always makes good decisions. To your point,
to a lesser
that's what he's done so far.
to a lesser extent, I think Coastal has really started to figure things out too. I think he looks really solid. Like I think early in the year, I was like, maybe they missed on this one. Like he just wasn't, just looked really uncomfortable. Just the jump from D2 to D1 can be a lot for a lot of guys, and I think he's looked really solid. Like today, he had 3 points, but I just think he's made really good decisions and been a solid contributor and knows his role. That's the biggest thing with great teams. I sound like such an old head because I used to hate when my coach would say this, but great teams have great role definition, and every team has role definition, but not every team has role acceptance. And they seem to, at least with those two guys, they have some acceptance in their roles.
Yeah, Coastal just doesn't beat them. Like he's not out there making bad decisions. Like he's just a trustworthy guy. And if you don't believe Jack on the Kiesler take, go find the press conference of Dan Earl and Honor Huff talking about that guy because they just speak so highly of them. And when it's coming from the guys that are with him every day, it means a lot more. So definitely true on that front. We'll go now to what looks like the unanimous best team in the league at the moment in Samford. They're doing it again, 30-point win against the Citadel. 19-point win today. They just, I don't know. There's a chance they just steamroll through.
And that game was only sort of close at the beginning because Pelote hit 4 threes in the first half. He doesn't do that, they lose by 30. Yeah.
So
yeah, they just it's impressive because almost completely different team, but they play the exact same as last year, and
It's like a different
could
team, but
easily
the
win the
same
conference
exact team.
game. Yeah. Yep.
exactly.
Great coaching, great style of play. It's impressive.
So this was the story of the Western Carolina game today for me. First half, Samford goes 3 of 12 from 3, and Western Carolina goes 8 for 16, and Samford still wins the half by 10. And then in the second half, it completely flips on its head. Samford goes 7 of 13 from 3, and Western Carolina goes 3 of 12 from 3. And Samford still wins the half by either 9 or 10. They just find ways to win games, whether it's a shootout or like whether they're going offensively or not. I mean, they're really starting to find their groove early here in conference play.
And they're doing all this while I feel like Colin Holloway's just kind of been a guy out there. Like, and I feel like he has kind of a somewhat star potential. Like he's got another level he can reach. So they've looked this good, and obviously some part of them not being as good as other guys being great. But they're doing all this with a guy we thought was their best player, not playing bad, but not quite at the level you thought he might be,
Mm-hmm. I
and still
mean,
could be.
I think part of that is how good Brownell has been, in all
Only
honesty.
3 points in 18 minutes. Only 18 minutes today. Dropped
That
23.
guy, that guy is crazy. Like, he's so solid. He hit like, I think it was a free throw today that hit, like, the metal on the back of the rim, and it just sounded so pure. I was like, that guy, he's so good. And then Trey Fort has been awesome, too. Um, he's really kind of settled in there. Um, I think the beginning of the season he was still kind of finding his place, maybe taking a few bad shots that Bucky McMillan wouldn't be a huge fan of, but he's really settled in and is starting to find his role as one of their top scorers. So they just look great. That's kind of what we expected. They
Yeah.
were the preseason favorite.
Yeah, I kind of think. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like maybe UNCG somehow controls the game against them, but like Chat's probably the only team I really think can. I don't
Go
know how to
band for
explain it, but
band.
yeah,
Yeah.
just go kind of play their style and win. Like other teams are gonna have to really play a style, like kind of control a game and play their way. Maybe Furman, but at the same time, I don't
After
know.
today, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how. Maybe we'll move on to Furman after this, but I don't know how I feel about Furman totally. But yeah, they're just if Stanford plays the way they want to play, like they're just so hard to beat. You just have to be so talented and have so many shot makers. And I think Chat might be the only team that has like a team full of shot makers and ball handlers that could compete with that.
Yeah. One thing I did want to touch on for Western Carolina, unfortunately, I think they're the worst team in the league.
I would agree.
I think that is official especially after how VMI played at ETSU.
I think VMI would
Um,
smoke them right now.
Smoke them, come on.
Not
that
smoke them,
was
but win by like
so
12.
I don't
aggressive.
think VMI smoking anybody. In
I think they'd
So
smoke
aggressive.
Western in Lexington. They beat him by like 12 or 15, which I guess isn't smoking, but they beat him. I think they control that game. Maybe not the Citadel, but VMI.
That's tough. I feel this way because the broadcast showed Coley, the Ramsey Center last year when Sanford came to town when it was on CBS Sports, and it was like the third biggest crowd in Ramsey Center history, and then they like panned the crowd today and it
Oh, it was like hard to find people in the crowd.
wasn't
Yeah.
the same vibe at all.
I was thinking this today. Let me drop some positivity from a broadcast like angle watching. I think Western might have the coolest like court plus the purple lighting on the people in the crowd in the background. So like
The
irrelevant
chairs.
what I'm saying right now, but it does kind of look sick on TV.
No, I know what you, yeah.
I like
They do
I
have
like
good
the purple
color
on the
coordination there.
crowd, and then they have a nice court. Yeah,
Yeah, good
that's what
vibes.
the analysis you
Definitely.
get into Bid SoCon.
Yeah.
That's what I took away from that game. It was hard to watch. So I was like, man, the court looks sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. Um, Jack, it sounds like you want to touch on Furman a little bit more. Do you have thoughts on them?
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of I think Furman is. I almost feel similar to how I felt at the beginning of the year, and I don't want to like. I feel like today definitely was. I wouldn't say an anomaly, but it was sort of an anomaly. Like they're not going to be, they were so uninspiring today. And I think from a basketball standpoint, like they're such a great team. Like, just like they play like a team. I don't know how to explain it, but I also don't love sometimes. Um, you know, is it Davis Molinar's at the like today
Hmm.
they had him, Heen, and Bowser on the court at the same time, or like they had Heen, Bowser, and Vanderwall on the court. That's like I think
There's not
Heen's
enough
got some all right
spacing.
back to the basket game, but that's like three not necessarily offensive
Non-threats.
players on the court at the same time, and you're gonna be so reliant on Smith and Anderson and House and
Mm-hmm.
Bronson. But I really think I add all those, but I really think it's Smith and Anderson. You're going to be so reliant on them hitting shots, and today was a prime. Like Anderson went what 1 for 11
1
from
for
three or
12.
something, and that
Mm-hmm.
happens with shooters. I just think they
Yeah.
might be a little. I'm surprised it hasn't happened really with Smith that often, who's been great most of the year. But yeah, it does slightly scare me how reliant. Like today, definitely Anderson might not shoot 1 for 11 the rest of the year, and I love that he kept shooting. Like that's obviously a good shooter thing, but I think they're a little too reliant sometimes, and there's a little too much time where they're just playing offense with really only two offensive players, 2.5. I'll give Heen a half. I think Heen's like he's just like kind of a good. Heen's kind of like
He
Boyd,
can
where
step out and
yeah,
yeah.
not to hate on them, but they're like a role player. They're not necessarily an offensive player necessarily, but yeah, it's almost like they have lineups with 2.5 offensive players out there, and you know, a guy like Vanderwall too. Don't think I added him there. Like Vanderwall, he and Bowser like all play so hard, and that's why they're out there. But they're also limited in what they can do, so it just kind of bothers me. I don't know, but I do think they play like a team, and obviously they've been very successful at this point. But today maybe confirmed to me a little more of all right. Maybe I was slightly right to be a little hesitant on them and not quite crown them yet. The talk
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got tweeted at about what if Furman wins every
I saw
game.
that. I was actually about to bring
Fun to
that up.
talk, fun to talk about, fun to bring that up. But no, they were never wouldn't
Oh
win
yeah,
this league. I said
that
Yeah.
it's
dream's
near
dead.
close to impossible, but
Dream is dead.
like this team is not that level of team. Not to
Yeah.
sound like I'm hating on them, but I think they're definitely limited in their ceiling as a team, but I think they're very consistent. They play together.
Mm-hmm.
So
So PJ Smith today, 24 points on 8 of 16 from the field, but he's 4 of 11 from three. And that was kind of, and then as a team, Furman goes 9 of 35 from three. And
so
that
that's
was,
5 for 22 from him and Anderson.
yes,
Ooh.
yeah. So that's kind of one of the reasons I went with Greensboro today was just Furman's kind of over reliance on the three, and UNC Greensboro's ability to defend the three, I think, is what was a huge part of this game today. But I do want to give PJ Smith some credit here because there was a loose ball or something, and he hit the floor hard, and I was like, this guy's like a warrior, honestly, because
He's going through it.
he's got the separated shoulder. He's rocking the Davis Molnar arm or like shoulder sleeve, whatever you want to call it. And then on the same hand, he's got like, I don't know if it was his wrist or his thumb, whatever it is. He's got his whole hand wrapped up. And I'm like, man, he's played so well for them, but he's not 100% healthy. And I think that kind of speaks to, him and what he means to that team that they're still running everything through him. So I mean,
So
we'll
dropping a
see.
pretty efficient 24, 8 of 16, minus the threes, but
Yeah.
He's been good this year. He's
yeah.
surprised me how good he's been on the ball. Like I thought he was. That's kind of was my take coming into the years. I thought he was really good off the ball, kind of in a
Mm-hmm.
secondary role. He's been really good in a primary role this year, which is surprised me.
Yeah. We miss anybody? Did we not talk about anybody?
Citadel.
Do you have any thoughts on the Citadel, Taylor?
I have a mini rant, just a little
Oh.
one.
Citadel's got you.
I was watching them against Chat today. The last few times I watched them, they just make me so angry. Brody Fox is like 2018 LeBron. Nobody else out there is helping him. But also, he was pissed. He was making me a little mad today too. The dude shoots 13% from three. He should not shoot that many to shoot 30%, but he still goes out there, shoots three today. He's shooting 50% from the free throw line. What makes you think you could step out and shoot 22 feet out? Stop shooting threes and keep drawing fouls. That's what you're good at. Get to the rim. All right, that's all. It was making me so mad today.
Was that your
That's all I had to
first?
say.
Was that your first two-bit SoCon, right?
I think it was. I was watching today and I was like getting so angry. I was like, quit taking jumpers and draw fouls.
There was
13%. It's probably down to 10 now or something crazy. All right, sorry.
there was also a point in that game that I looked up and both teams were in zone, and that made me
I know.
kind of sick.
Yeah.
And the Citadel, like, love Ed Conroy, but like they ran that 2-3 probably 5 possessions longer than they should have. And you had Bash Wheeland in the high post and Frank Champion in the low post, like just toasting it. And especially Wheeland with that like kind of mid post fadeaway that he loves. It just, they were just toasting that zone and getting to the free throw line, doing whatever they wanted. So, yeah, the Citadel's just kind of a
I'd say they're
normal,
second worst team.
they're a normal run of the mill team for you. Well, you're a VMI truther.
You don't think VMI would beat this team right now?
Citadel's tough.
I'm
They
saying
got Citadel's got some athletes and Conroy
Yeah,
they
as
do,
well. Like
but man, from what I watched,
they could
they make
defend.
me
Fox
angry.
could be the best player any given game. Like
yeah,
obviously, I don't think they're that great, but I think they, Paxton Davidson had like 28 the other day, hit a bunch of threes. Like they have a few guys that can knock down threes, and
mm-hmm.
and surprisingly, who's the guy today? Was it Christian Moore maybe? I don't remember who it was. It's one of their bigs, like just randomly like threw down kind of a crazy dunk.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I did see that.
was
They
it
got some good
Adebisi maybe?
athletes, and
I think it was out of EC.
maybe
Yeah, they
I
do.
couldn't remember. Who
Yeah,
it
maybe a
was.
little too harsh. They're making me mad today. That's
Just the fact that they defend and they're physical and they're semi-athletic, and with Fox they have a guy that technically could go for 20, 25 in a game. I'm not like Western down on them. Like I'm very down on Western.
Yeah,
I'm down with Citadel because after Boston College game, I was like, they can make some noise, but now I'm like, okay, never mind.
yeah, and then
Boston College
And then we saw him play at Vandy. I know it's Vandy. Vandy's kind of good, but still, like, whew, that was hard to watch.
yeah, that hurt. We are gonna wrap up today's episode with game picks for Wednesday. Springing that on you guys. Didn't tell you.
Okay.
Appreciate
No prep. Gut picks.
It's just 3 games Wednesday. We're doing Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday. We'll start with ETSU at Mercer. Taylor?
ETSU bounce back.
I agree.
Jack?
As much as I want to pick Mercer, I got to go ETSU. I don't think they dropped 2 games in a row like that.
Yeah, I would have to agree. So the 2-0 start. Okay.
Sorry.
Gee.
I've been holding that in for like 20 minutes.
Follow me.
Western Carolina at Wofford. I'm going with
Wofford.
Wofford.
Ah,
Of course you wanna follow
easy.
me again. Sheep.
Yeah, too much talent disparity in that one. Final game on Wednesday, Furman at the Citadel.
Furman. Easy. I'm picking based off emotion right now, but I don't care. They made me really mad today.
Yes, it was not winning that. Actually, I shouldn't say that. But
Brody Fox could still drop 25 and they're losing that game.
That is Furman for me as well. VMI at Samford on Thursday.
VMI. I'm just kidding, Sanford. Can you imagine?
I'm going to hold you to that.
No, I said Sanford. I was just kidding.
Jack, I told Taylor about when I picked VMI last year after you said they wouldn't win a D1 game, and I was like, they're hosting the Citadel. This is their shot.
That was my mindset for today, too. Was like, they're going to do it. And they
I
did
was
it.
like, I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I can't
I
do
learned
it
mine.
anymore.
yeah, it's tough.
So we're all in agreement on the first 4. Here is a good one on national TV, CBS Sports Network. UNC Greensboro at Chattanooga.
4 p.m. Weird.
Yeah, they need to be in class. Well, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, right. Makes sense.
Give me chat
That's
at home. Students probably back. I don't know. I feel like they're pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty
And it's a
similar to
Thursday night. And that's when the
game.
students would, yeah. That's when the students would show out the most on those Thursday games, too.
Yeah, Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me chat in that one, too. But I wouldn't be surprised if Greensboro pulled it off.
Yeah, I feel similar to like Matt was saying earlier about the UNCG Furman matchup. Why you picked UNCG? Like they can defend the 3-ball well, but I feel like Chat has maybe a little.
They have a little more
push.
versatility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take them, maybe just to try and confirm.
Because that'd be really impressive for Greensboro to start 3-0 with those wins over Wofford and then Furman,
Yeah.
or yeah, and then chat
Do I want to pick UNCG just so we
just to
don't
make it
all
different.
have the same picks? I also don't want Trey Bonham tweeting at me again.
He's superstitious, Matt.
Pick against us.
I remember seeing that and I started crying laughing.
He was in the gym with me. I was like, just
Oh,
come
really?
tell me, bro. Yeah.
Oh, that's how you replied. You were like, I literally picked you guys to win.
Yeah, I didn't want to go find the clip, but
Yeah.
um just for the sake of being different, I'll pick UNC Greensboro. It might be my
Fair.
wagon this season. Um so Taylor, you're not gonna make any improvement on your deficit this week.
Maybe I should go VMI then.
I beg you to go VMI.
No,
Sanford
as
is
much
gonna
as I
be
want
like
to.
a Sanford will probably be like a 19-point favorite, I feel like, in that game. So.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
probably win like 181 or something.
Yeah, remember that game they played last year, VMI and Sanford?
Yeah, it was like
Just
110 to something, wasn't it?
just a race on both ends of the floor.
It happened to VMI a lot.
I don't know. UNCG Chattanooga will be a good game. I won't be surprised either way, to be honest, but I guess we will see. Um, and that is it for this week on 2-Bit SoCon. Happy to be back. Um, we're excited to get rolling here in conference play. So, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to listen, subscribe, yell at us on Twitter, whatever you want to do. And we will see you guys next week.